steadiness, so I was pretty happy about that.
Okay.
Sometimes things go awry.
Okay, I'm going to start the broadcast.
Okay.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening. This is Gloria Taylor Brown coming to you from Oceanside, California with the 12th edition of Stepping Into Ourselves, Gathering of Priestesses. And oh my goddess, what a gathering we have tonight. We have our beautiful Andrea Goodman coming to us from the Ruby-Throated Spirit Retreat in Maine, and Laima Graham coming to us from Marin County with her boa Isis. And we have quite a few people that are still coming online, so give you a minute or two to get online. As all of you probably heard, we had a little bit of technical difficulty. We're doing a lot of prayers and saging and internet prayers. Rabbi Razel gave me an internet prayer, and I actually keep it right here beside me so that I can say it as I'm starting these shows, because we never know what we're going to get. And it's just not a box of chocolates. Anyway, so I want to welcome you tonight, and thank you for being here from wherever you may have come from. I know we have people from Albuquerque and Sao Paulo and San Diego and Poway, Wisconsin. I know that we have some people that are going to be joining us from Switzerland. I have a lady from Southwest Australia that listens to us every day. Every time we do one of these, the next morning she listens and tells me what she's thought about it. So I want to thank you all for being here, and want to get the show started, even though we're still got a lot of people coming online. And of course, we are all here because we're all here. We're all in Stepping Into Ourselves, an anthology of writings on priestesses. And there are a number of different articles in here. I think there's over 120 articles actually in here total by 50 different authors. It's quite a book, and it is available from Goddess Inc. And so that's goddess-inc.com, and we do prefer you buy it from there. And if you do, you get a 15% discount if you put in the word Summer 2014, all one word. Doesn't matter if you capitalize or not. Anyway, I want to welcome you all to the show tonight, and we're sort of, this is truly the most bi-coastal we've been, because we've got California and we've got Maine. You can't get much further apart here. And Andrea, I know, had a meditation earlier tonight and wasn't sure she was going to be here right on time. And Laima had a little bit of difficulty, and I think she had to redo her computer. So let's just, put blessings on this whole thing, and that it's going to be absolutely perfect, because I know it will be. And so the first question I always ask, and then the only question I have prepared, is what drew you to the path of the priestess? And Andrea, let's start with you.
Well, first I just want to thank you, Gloria, for doing this. I think it's been amazing so far, and so enriching, and just the connecting between all of us is really joyful to me. Well, I would say that I always, do you know the book The Soul's Code, the James Hillman book?
Mm-hmm.
He talks about how each person is born with their acorn, and then throughout their life they grow into the tree that they're to become, but they come in with the acorn. It's not like we're a blank slate. And anyone who studies astrology knows that we come in with our personalities. And it's not usually our parents who nourish that acorn. It's usually mentors that we meet along the way. And so I think that my first I think my acorn is to be a priestess. I think that is what I am, what I always have been. And the first mentor was the cantor at our temple when I was a child. We had I was raised Jewish, Reformed Jewish, but we had a very special cantor. Martin Rosen was his name, and he had a chorus of children, of girls mostly, and I loved singing that sacred music. That was so exciting to me, and somehow I knew how to do it. And we learned not only songs but all the prayers, and it felt very natural to me. And then as I got older, I became the religious chairman of the youth group, which meant that once a month I had to find someone who would get up in front of the whole congregation and give a prayer. And usually nobody wanted to do it, so I would do it. And so I would write whatever was in my heart. And even though I was shy, I was willing to get up in front of everyone and speak a prayer. And I loved going into the sanctuary when it was empty and singing. And so I think my way in was through music and through speaking the prayer in my own voice. Then a friend and I started writing our own ceremonies, our own, we called them services at that time, and I had a need to take each prayer and make it my own. And eventually I had a need to make worship my own. And eventually, when I understood feminism, I couldn't stay involved in Judaism. I'm so admiring of the rabbis who have found their way through and found their way to becoming priestesses and finding the divine feminine within Judaism. But when I was a girl, it was nowhere to be seen. So then the next inkling, I think, was that I moved to New York City after college. In college, I developed writing, which was certainly an aspect. I think my priestesshood has many aspects, and I needed to gather each one. So I began with the music, then I had to gather writing, which I did in college, and then I had to gather theater and movement, which I did in New York City. And I was fortunate enough to find a mentor, many mentors, but one in particular, Meredith Monk, who is a composer and singer and theater director and filmmaker. And I kind of came to her straight from college and began singing with her. I was one of the original members of her vocal ensemble, and I performed with her for 17 years. And the music that we made, the first big piece that I was involved with was called Tablet, and it was initially 4 women and then 3 women, and we were singing ancient, like, archetypes that were coming through our voices. And then we sang, then the next piece had 3 men and 3 women, was dolmen music. So we were relating literally to the standing stones and to who the people were that were using those stones for their life. And so I tapped into an ancient music that had never been heard before. It was totally original. And so there was this combination of ancient, futuristic, of making something original, finding it within us. And the quality of focus and a kind of a gravity that one needs to perform, and that one needs for writing, and that one needs to conduct a ceremony, and that one needs to hold space for a client or a group. I think that's something that came really naturally to me. So then in the 80s, when I met IONE and began taking her dream workshops and journal workshops, where she was really nourishing one's inner life, and that has always been a big part of me. So to find her and find how she was holding space for a group, then when I began using sound for healing, she asked me to teach with her. And then when she made Women's Mysteries and we went to Egypt, that I think was when I first felt that I was a priestess. I remember being in Karnak next to the sacred lake, and we were sitting in a circle doing a meditation, and I suddenly knew that I am a priestess. And there's one other milestone, which was in the work with IONE. We were learning about the goddess, and I suddenly understood. I was lying in bed, and I suddenly understood that I am the face of the goddess. I'm her emissary, and that when I allow myself to be mistreated or disrespected, that I'm betraying her. And I went into crying. I got up out of bed and began pacing my railroad apartment up and down, and crying, and this big confession of all the ways I had betrayed the goddess so far in my life, and made a vow to honor her in my life, in my relationships, and in my work. So that, I don't remember, I must have been around 30 at that time.
Lovely. So, Laima, I know that you've been following the path of the goddess for a long time, but the question is, what made you take the path? I mean, I know you went to the University of Hawaii, and you were, I believe you were a model at one point as well, so I know everything. And
so happy to be here, Gloria. So honored to be here with both of you, and thank you so much for really organizing this and doing all the intense work to make it happen. I really am enjoying it and deeply, deeply appreciate it. And I got to be in Egypt with you, and so she got to see me in action, and certainly saw me in action with Nikki on her land.
Mm-hmm.
But I was raised Catholic, so the goddess came to me as a young Catholic girl when I was worshiping the Virgin and praying to her, and this life-size statue of her came to life, and it was the one where she's standing on the serpent.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the church teaches that she's stamping out evil. But what happened is she came to life, and so did the snake, and they were both smiling at me. And she looked at me and she said, "Shh, now you know my secret." And I was only about 12 years old, so I knew if I told that secret, I would get excommunicated or whatever they do to bad Catholic girls. So I kept my mouth shut. But then I met a Sufi master after I graduated from the university in dance. And so as a modern dancer, and Andrea, I know Meredith Monk and have worked with her music as a dancer. And many of my colleagues and teachers worked with her. So I was with this Sufi master, and we were doing Sufi dervish spinning, and it was actually on Mother Mary's Assumption Day, August 15th. And the next thing I knew, Isis came into my body. I had a Devi Baba experience with Isis. And my eyes became her eyes, my hands became her hands. I saw her crescent moon crown with the twin serpents entwined within, and I just became Isis. And I didn't necessarily know Isis, but she said to me, "From this moment on, you will be my priestess for the rest of your life." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "Make a dance in my honor." So I did, and the very first goddess dance I made was in 1981, was to Isis. And since that time, I've made probably over 100 dances to the Great Mother. But mostly I have been mostly an Icene, but I danced many goddesses in many pantheons. And I seem to have this knack, or this gift, I guess you would call it a gift, to be able to channel deity. And I love what you said, Andrea, about the acorn, and that we're born. One of my mentors was Lady Lorianne Boothbay, and she just crossed over. And my other mentor was Lady Olivia Robertson, and she crossed over this year too. And both of them would tell me things like, "You were born a priestess." They seemed to see right into my soul. So I was very lucky to have a lot of priestess mentors. Nikki was one of my priestess mentors, Normandy Ellis, and the Icean mysteries. But I also include my early dance teachers in university. I was not allowed to really express myself very much as a child, and I knew I was a unicorn when I was a little girl, and I could hear the grass growing. The angels would talk to me, and the people, you know, didn't get who I was. So I really isolated and went into a very internal space. Even though I dance and I perform and I channel the deity, I'm kind of a monastic. I'm kind of a recluse in some ways. So, and yet I feel safer being, you know, more in front of an audience sometimes than I would feel being in a circle maybe, or being in a large group of people. I'm safer with that distance. It helps me to create safety to be able to channel the deity, because they're big, they're huge, they're ginormous, and I'm just a little woman. So Lady Lorian found me in 1996, and of course I had been ordained from on high by Isis in 1981. And so she invited me. She came and saw me at a concert that I was in, and said, "Oh, you must come to my temple and dance the goddess." So I've been dancing the Egyptian deities and choreographing on others, the Egyptian deities, since 1997. I've danced a lot of them, and it's very different when you really bring in and embody the deity. You get to know, including Wajette, how powerful they are. You're never the same. You're never the same. They leave their imprint in your body, mind, and spirit. And yeah, so I feel very grateful to have had such amazing mentors. And then the snake priestess part, that came in when my son was pregnant. When I was pregnant with him, he was in my belly. My dad was born in the year of the snake. My son was born in the year of the snake, and Lady Olivia was born in the year of the snake. And it was sort of like my baby informed me that I needed to dance with a snake, and I'd never danced. Never seen a snake dancer, wasn't imitating anyone. I just followed that inner guidance and danced with my snake for the first time when I was 9 months pregnant with my son. And then that began a whole journey into snake priestess realm, which is in and of itself is a whole different exploration. In my humble opinion, the snake is the original goddess. She's it. She's the be-all and end-all, and my snakes have taught me a lot. I have 4 snakes, and I've been dancing with them for 25 years now, and they still teach me. I love teaching with them, teaching women how to hold them and dance and trance with them, how to connect with their deeper feminine wisdom. The serpent is the most yen of all of the goddess's creatures. And people have no business being afraid of them, because quite frankly, the serpent is more afraid, the snakes are more afraid of us than we can ever be of them. There's only 3% of the world's snakes that are poisonous, and they're just such amazing creatures. They don't have a cry of their own. They can only send a warning hiss or maybe a rattle. And they are so yin. They're very yin. They're the first to feel any earth changes because their bellies are on the earth. They're the most meditative creatures I've ever been around. I love kitty cats, but you know how you can sit with a cat on your lap and it purrs and you go into an altered state. Snakes are way more, they take you right in, right down into the other world realms and above into the upper world realms. So
I would love to see sometime Laima dance to Andrea's music. That was the thing I was hearing.
I was so excited when you put us together. I had this same thought.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I just love it. I really would love it. My world is changing since my mentors have both crossed, and I know that now is my time that I need to get in the world in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And so really quite special that this connection is happening for me now. I just went to the memorial yesterday, so I'm a little teary. But wow, you know, I never asked to, when I grow up, to be a snake priestess. Mm-hmm. I didn't ask to be a priestess. The goddess chose me, you know.
Andrea?
I want to say that I'm born in the year of the snake also.
Oh, well, then we had to come together.
and I did live with the snake for a while. My daughter loves snakes, and so we took care of a ball python, a beautiful, beautiful snake, for several years, and I got pretty used to her. Yes, and also in our ministry, we started the Ministry of Maåt in 1997. So when you said that that was the year that you really began, that is the year that IONE and Paulina Oliveros and I founded the Ministry of Maåt. And then I was ordained the following year in 1998. And we have often had retreats devoted to Ujit, who is the...
I saw that.
Yes. And we work with embodying her, and we work with, we've worked in pairs with serpent handling, with the constellation in the sky of Ophiuchus, who's the serpent handler. And so we've definitely explored very deeply the snake energy, and maybe a bit later I have a little poem that I thought I'd read that's called Snake Charmed, especially for you.
Oh, I love that. And you know what? I'm an Ophiuchus. I'm born in that 13th constellation. So it's no wonder I became a snake priestess. And today, I follow feng shui, and today is Snake Day.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, accident.
Well, what I want you to know is that the way I chose people to come together for these shows was, I just said, tell me who's going to work together, because I didn't want real conflict on the show. And I didn't want people who were the same on the show. In other words, I didn't want two people who all they could talk about was tarot or whatever. So what I tried to do was, having interviewed all of you, was to choose people that I thought would be complementary and bring something new to the other person. Because I believe that one of the things that quickly became apparent to me when I was doing the interviews was how isolated most of these priestesses are. They don't know each other. They may know of each other through words or through poems, or that they've heard of somebody. They really, very few of them know each other. And this was really borne in upon me whenever on the second show I had to find a replacement for someone who decided she didn't want to play with us. And I said, well, I'll just call one of my priestess girlfriends. And I said this to one of the other people, and I said, you know, I think that is really cool that you have priestess girlfriends at a number that you can call them and get them to come on a show, you know, on a moment's notice. And so part of that is, you know, basically, well, you know, I have been part of Nikki's lineage for, I don't know how many years now. I've been working with Nikki since 1985. So, you know, it's been a long, long time. And I've worked with Raven since 1997. So, you know, we've really woven together a strong community that although it's spread all over the world, is very strong and very, we know who we are. And I think that part of that is developing a sense of community. And one of the things that I am doing here is creating a community that reaches out beyond just us, because I know there are other priestesses out there that want to know that they can, as one of them said, I'm being trained to be the high priestess in my local community. This is my training. And but I know that both of you can address something, and I hope we're going to be okay with this. And that is the idea of loss. Because both of you, Laima has lost her father, her two primary mentors just in the last year. Andrea, she went through a tremendous loss, and out of that loss created a work of art. And so, we all kind of walk this path, and we talk about it as though it were all, roses all the time, but it's not. Sometimes there's loss. Sometimes there's sorrow. And how do we address that? How do we deal with that as priestesses and as women in a way that honors ourselves? And I love what you said, Andrea, about honoring the goddess within everything that you do. And Andrea, I'm going to let you answer the question first, because I know that you have some deep answers.
Thank you. I love this topic, actually. I think it's precious, and it's definitely priestess work to address it. Of course, there have been various losses, but the hardest for me came 12 years ago when my husband left and we divorced. And it was very surprising for me. I wasn't expecting it. It's not like things were going badly. It was just, he met someone, he opened up in a new way, and that was it. And fortunately, I asked my guidance for help. I didn't know that I could get an answer, but we had been reading a lot of channeled work, and I just decided one night when I couldn't sleep and the electricity had gone out, I was up in the kitchen with the wood fire and a hurricane lantern and my journal, and I just said, what is happening to me? And the answer that I got, the first words I heard was, sweet girl, you are becoming your true self. So I was in so much fear, because at this point I didn't even know about this other person in his life. I only felt terrified. I just went into anxiety because I could feel everything had changed and I didn't know what was happening. But that the answer, what was really happening, was that I was becoming my true self, was the most amazing thing to hear. And then from there, they just told me to feel my feelings. That if I was feeling terrified, then just to feel that. And if I was feeling grief, just to cry. And to cry as much as I needed to. That there was no limit. That it's not like you only get so many tears and then you're supposed to be over it. I came to them again and again and again and asked again and again, help me, I don't know what to do, I feel lost, I'm scared, and always they just said, just be with your feelings, allow your feelings. So that's the first step, is to allow the feelings. And then they pointed out over and over how I was judging myself, and they brought me compassion every moment, so that there's no right way to go through loss and grief. There's no everyone does it in their own way, and you can't expect yourself to get over things fast. It's not how everybody works. I mean, some people perhaps do jump off into something new right away, but for people who are more internal, I think that everything is felt so deeply. And so the guidance is to feel the feeling and to be very, very compassionate to yourself.
Thank you. And to let you know where I am and where I'm going through. I'm going through a very long and lingering death of my husband. He has a disease that will eventually kill him. We have no idea when. However, right now he's about 50% here and about 50% batshit crazy. So, you know, he's in a nursing home, and for a while he was unable to walk. For a while he was unable to talk. He's getting some of that back. You know, it's a difficult thing to deal with, because this is not what I signed up for, you know. I'm a good time girl. We're going to party until we die. Leave a good-looking body. So, Lahima, and I don't want to make you cry, but I do know that, you know, you've been through a lot of loss. And
yeah, a lot of loss in just 1 year. I got initiated pretty early in loss. Entangling me. My sibling rival died before I turned 18. She was sweet 16, and it was a pretty tragic kind of death, and it was very, very abrupt. She drowned at home and had epilepsy, and they could never cure it, and so it was very shocking. And because of my psychic abilities, I had seen it, and I thought that I caused it because I saw it. So that was really tragic for me, and I didn't really have the kind of help I needed at that age and stage. I think I maybe sent me to a psychologist or something who didn't really help very much. But I do believe it's the spiritual work that's seeing me through, and certainly the snake really does help a lot because of the metaphor of shedding the old skin. And then this year, one of the things that really blew me away when Lady Olivia died was that the fairies, she was very much a rebel, and she took this ring the moment she died, like literally right off my finger, and it vanished in thin air, and I thought I was seeing things. I got kind of mad when I realized that she had taken it. And then she took one of these earrings, and I got even madder, and I asked her, give it back. She did. She put it right on top of a little magic bundle I had made, and underneath the stack where I had written a tribute to her. And so she gave the ring back. Then my dad crossed over on Lady Olivia's birthday. I was born in the year of the snake, and on a snake day, and he's a redneck Texan. I never got along with him very well. And I'll be damned if he turned into an Egyptian mummy on his deathbed as I was walking him to the gate and anointing him from head to toe with frankincense oil. Then they both started appearing to me as ravens. Every day they come to me as ravens. And then when we got back, I said to my husband, we got to move the bed. I knew what was under the bed. Nothing was under the bed. I had vacuumed, and so we go under the bed, move the bed, and there was a dime from my dad and the ring from Lady Olivia, right next to each other. I was like, what? You're telling me this redneck Texan that I walked to the gate who turned into an Egyptian mummy is hanging out with my mentor, who initiated me into the Egyptian mysteries? I mean, life is very interesting. And so now that Lorianne's gone, I've got a third raven coming every day. She came and blew open the door to my son's treehouse. My son's 25 now. And she had always wanted to go up there. She couldn't climb up the stairs. She was too elderly. And I had forgotten that I had built an altar to Isis up there. and she insisted that I serve her tea and chocolate and cherries and spend the day with her up there. So I'm not surprised Raven had to come on and help us. The ravens have been with me a lot. So I'm learning now about raven medicine. But for me, I'm really feeling a lot that I'm blessed with this sense of sloughing off the old, and the new skin is growing underneath. It's there, whether we see it or not. And so the metaphor of the snake is that it has its eye caps on. With the skin becomes opaque, they go blind, they can't see. Similar to the butterfly motif. And so they're in the blue phase. Interestingly, it's called the blue phase. So when we're in that stage of loss and death and rebirth, we don't necessarily know it. We can't see it. But in the blue phase, we're growing a new skin underneath. We come out with this shiny new skin, and it comes off of the eyes. Well, it comes off of the nose and mouth first, and then off of the eyes, and then the head, and then down through the tail. So I have to trust, like you said, Andrea, your guidance, and have all this compassion with it. It's just things are shifting and changing. And I have good days, and I have bad days. Today's a pretty good day. Yesterday was really hard. And I sometimes just wail. I just use the sound and I let it come up out of my body. And it's not my first way of expressing. So I'm just starting to sing now. My first way of expressing has always been dance. So for Olivia and my dad, I made a raven dance. And you can see the raven dance on my website, on dancingpriestess.com. And I have 13 moon dances that I made for 2012 because I turned 60 in 2012 on that 2012 Mayan calendar date. Mm-hmm. And I realized, wow, this is really auspicious. I'm turning 60 in 2012. I have to do something. And I was going through a death rebirth phase because as a dancer, we're always concerned about our looks and our vigor and, you know, how healthy are we going to stay to be able to do our craft. So I wasn't very well, and I just I just decided that I was going to make a dance every full moon, 13 moons in 2012, as a priestess rather than dancing a deity. Maybe there's one or two that's a deity, but I really needed to just let that come through, however it was going to be reborn. And I'm not, you know, in the best technical shape, you know, as a dancer. So I'm learning now that, you know, we need our elders. I'm stepping up now into an elder position, and if I don't, and I'm not able to handle it and show the next phase, then, you know, then all my training's for naught.
One of the things that happens when our elders step away is we do have to step up. And as we've discussed here previously, for the younger ones, you know, we're getting older. We're not going to be here that much longer, and you're going to have to step up. So those that are in training now are the ones that are going to be walking in our shoes somewhere down the road. And, you know, I want to say that, you know, we have carved a path for you, but you're going to have to create your own when you move forward. And, you know, one of the things you can do is you can sing. Even if you don't carry a tune, you can still sing.
I'd like to speak to that. The music that I do now is very much not a tune. It's intuitive. It's channeled. It's allowing sound to pour through. And when I worked with Meredith Monk, that was a wonderful training because our music was without words, so we were using our voices as instruments. And then when I began to use sound for healing, it was having a clear intention and then allowing the sound to carry the intention. And that has been my way now for almost 30 years. And I find that anyone can do it. it's like opening a door and people can walk through. And when I have been working and exploring, one thing I found is a book called Women in Music, or Music and Women, I can never remember which way it goes, by Sophie Drinker. And it says that all music comes from women's wailing. That the sounds of childbirth that help a baby to come into this world are needed for helping someone to exit and be born into the next world. And so the women's dirges were the first music. And that meant so much to me that I began holding wailings. We had a wailing for the witches, we had a wailing for I did a concert on Veterans Day, and so we did a wailing for the unexpressed grief of the veterans. When we moved from the millennium, from the 1900s to the 20s, I had a wailing over the last 1,000 years, and we brought up everything we could think of that needed to be grieved and wailed. And I just think that being a beginning for music is powerful and authentic and very, very beautiful. So in the singing that I do now, I help people to have an intention, whether it's in a private healing session or in a group. And so I usually suggest the intention, but the sounds that come can be anything. Each one makes their own music, and then the combination is what I call cosmic harmony, that refers to Maåt, who holds the cosmic harmony, and that everybody's voice is included in that harmony, that you can't do it wrong, and that no one is left out of that harmony. Somehow she holds it all in balance. So that's just a short introduction to the way that I work with sound. But when I perform now, I'm also performing in a channeled way, where I have an intention and I allow the sound to come through. And I would love to sing for your dancing in that.
Oh, you're just so thrilled. I have a dance that I choreographed on, I think it's 21 women, maybe it might be 23 to balance it out, but because I do the double Maåt, and then we do the 42 ideals of Maåt. We call them the ideals. It's a more positive spin, but it could be a large group dance even to Maåt, and I could teach that because it's very powerful. You have these women, they could sing it even, the ideal, and dance it, and they read like a DNA pattern, gene code, whatever you want to call it, in the dance. And I mean, I have a solo with Maåt too. It's not too filmed. Some of these temple dances, they're private. I haven't put everything up on YouTube. It's too sacred. I'm not that kind of a performer.
So, one of our listeners has asked a question, and she would like me to address this to Andrea, which is that she's lost a grandchild, husband, and she's asked, how does she grieve for these losses? And I'm going to let Andrea answer first, and then I'll let Ima answer as well.
How to grieve?
How to grieve. How to grieve for these losses that seem so immense that you can't touch them. That a grandchild that is not born, that doesn't come into the world, comes in stillborn. A marriage that ends. A tragedy. The one that comes to me is yesterday, a young man here who was 22 years old was killed on his motorcycle because he was screwing around, frankly. But I just know that mother is grieving at a level that can't be touched. And I can feel her grief. You know, even though I don't know her, I can still feel that grief. And I am an empath. Yes, my name is Gloria, and I'm an empath, and I feel everybody's grief. So, Andrea, as we talk about loss, we also have to talk about how do we grieve for this? How can we express this? And I know your wailing is one way. Maybe some advice.
Well, it's different from everyone. I cry very easily. So one thing that I needed to do was be alone a lot so that I could just cry whenever I needed to. And I really didn't go anywhere that I couldn't allow myself to cry at any moment. I just stayed with people that would be able to handle me crying because I had to cry. And it felt like the grief would never end, or that there was no bottom to it. And I think that when you're inside, when you're right inside that process, you can't know how long it will take you. You don't know where you are. It was like what you were speaking of, the snake being blind while it's beginning, just before it begins to shed the skin, or as that process begins. I think that's the thing, that any huge loss or grief is an initiation. It's a passage. It's an opening to a new level of ourselves. But when you're going through it, you can't know. I mean, I didn't know what they meant, you're becoming your true self. I mean, they would say to me, you can't imagine who you are becoming now. You can't imagine how you will shine. And I think at the time I didn't feel like shining at all. But there is a process, and I think that one thing is that there is a gift in the grief, there's a gift in the loss, even when it doesn't feel like it. So that part of grieving is a surrender to the process, a surrender to whatever it is. And if one feels numb and frozen and can't even cry, all you can do is be with that. But then I think if one is longing to find a way to grieve, then I would make an altar of some kind for the person who has left, for this baby that didn't come into the world. I would make a place to be with the soul of that baby, because the soul still lives. And for a mother, I mean, I have not lost a child, thank the goddess. I can't imagine. I think that would be the hardest. I really think that would be the hardest initiation. But I know people who have, and whatever the loss is, it is somehow honing us, making us into who we are to become. Does that help?
Yeah. Laima, you've done a lot of grieving. You're really current with this. How would you answer the question? How do you grieve whenever it seems like a loss that cannot be accepted? I mean, you're really, right now, you're sort of in it with Lorianne.
You know, I didn't expect my dad's death to hit me so hard.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought that I would just fly to Texas, and go to a funeral, and, you know, be done. I did not expect the body to respond like it did. So I'm thinking, you know, with the child, the DNA, that we're bound by our DNA. We have that blood and flesh that our parents give us. And so I got flatlined just flatlined. I couldn't do anything. It totally surprised me because I'm not necessarily Miss Perky all the time anyway, but I'd get up out of bed and then gone for the rest of the day and gone. So I slept a lot, and I found myself not breathing. And so I think that's kind of what happens. We get blocked and choked up and get stuck in our bodies. And I noticed at a certain point, like, Naima, you just got to do something about this. So I started doing really simple breathing that helped to move the energy, just a little bit of belly breath, or snake breath is good. I teach snake breath, and that's a releasing breath, and it's inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the mouth on a long, slow hiss. So just the tiniest bit. It doesn't take much for me. I cry pretty easily too. Just a little bit of breath work. So, I don't think it's good to try and force the gentleness, like you were saying, Andrea, compassion for your body and your process and however long it's going to take. So I've been doing that, and I find that it helped move the energy, and then I was able to do some wailing and sobbing. And, of course, movement helps me just do anything. So I just turn everything into a dance. If I possibly can, I turn it into a dance. And in the Raven dance that I made, I did some of the hair tossing that is so prevalent in a lot of the tribal women's dances, particularly, in the Middle East and Africa. And that just came out, just the head tossing, like they do it in the Gedra, and it's a form of exorcism. I do feel like I need to exercise some of the things, because I don't want to live with it the rest of my life. The heaviness, the darkness, even though I loved these beautiful beings in my life and what they gave me, they had their shadows. I don't want to be stuck with their stuff and their shadows. I think that could be part of grieving too. Is sometimes we take on, if we're empaths, we take on the dark side of our teachers and our parents. So if you think of it, or I think of it, as a lightning from the inside out, but you have to shed the old skin first. So I spend a lot of time in nature. I talk to the birds a lot. They say that the reason that the snake priestesses let themselves be bitten, and the snakes were non-venomous, or their venom was a non-toxic, deadly venom, but it would create a slightly hallucinogenic state where they could understand the language of the birds. I spend a lot of time with the birds. I'm almost with the birds every single day. I go to a bird sanctuary, and I talk to birds. And I understand their language. I know, you probably understand that. It may sound a little woo-woo, but I do. On some level in my body, in my DNA, in my ancient wisdom understanding, I understand the language of the birds.
Perfect sense to me. If I can understand a cat, I can understand anybody.
Yeah.
So, their language is so weird. I have relatives that worked with snakes too. They're down in southern Georgia. They used to put their hands into the big containers full of copperheads and pull them out and show how much they believed in God. Not a religion I'm particularly interested in, but we all, if you live down south, and you've got to admit that some of your relatives probably went to that church, and some of them probably went over to the voodoo church while they were at it. So we have a wide range of religions down there. So, you know, I want Andrea has actually brought a poem tonight that she has prepared for this, and I'd love for you to read it. You are going to get, as a special gift, a poem of Andrea's, which is where the title, Stepping Into Ourselves, which actually got left out of the first edition of the book. And I understand it's now in there.
It's in now.
Huh?
It's there now.
It's there now, but it was, huh? Yeah.
It's in my copy of the book.
Yeah, well, in the first edition, it was missing, so they quickly printed more with it in there. But you will be getting a copy of that as well, whether you have it in the book or not. But I wanted Andrea to have an opportunity to do her poem, and so it's over to you, dear.
One thing that I was thinking about reading is that writing is a wonderful way to be with the grief, to be with the loss. You don't know what you're going to write when you begin. You just begin, and then it pulls itself out of you. So I like to read. I have two poems. One is the snake poem, and that I just thought for Leima it would be the thing to read. And the other actually is about birds. And it's also a grief. It's an elegy.
Oh, okay.
So here's Snake Charmed. Zigzag lightning dance startles me viscerally, as though to glimpse it is to feel it travel through. Your lazier, curvy meander ripples lyrically, tiny river of life flowing from an inner source. Primordial mother, wise, self-birthing, slides out of herself and does not look back. How do I claim your gifts as my own, with my awkward limbs and heavy muscles, hesitation building roadblock and hurdle even as I advance? Cobra rising, pour up through my form, backbone strong and supple, lift my head to meet its crown. I have made a serpentine path and have walked it often, but did not recognize myself as the serpent, imprinting patterns of movement to carry me over desert and jungle, through crystalline crevice in shadows under boulders, and to allow me to bask, timeless, in sunshine's warmth, coiled into myself, whispering secrets.
That was lovely, thank you. And did you have one more that you wanted to read?
Yes, this is called The Nest Elegy. 3 infant birds, pink skin between dark gray patches of wing, tiny beaks, tiny hearts beating, 3 bodies merged and held by a circle of dried grass, nothing more. Like giving birth in the taxi, the mother bird fashioned her nest from what was at hand, grass, hidden in the grass. Clover and dandelion, the only protection. I found them when she flew at my footstep, dangerously close, gave thanks that the lawnmower had not started. 2 days later, the nest is empty. Today, pouring rain, and I wonder, would she have spread wings to umbrella them? What came in the night to steal them away? Small, modest brown like a sparrow, she could not have fought it. What instinct led her to lay them open to sky, open to rain, to owls, squirrels, cats, my footsteps and the monstrous mower. Wherever they went, probably into a larger hungry mouth, I carry them under my soft heart, sheltered by ribs, blanketed by skin, arms poised to ward off predators. The circle of grass left in the grass, I feel inside me, inner basket to bear life's utmost vulnerability.
Absolutely fabulous and perfect, and a perfect way to end this show. And now I'd like to give you each just a moment or two, because we are at the end of the show, to tell us about what you're going to be doing now. What's your next thing? And I know Andrea is going to be doing the Ministry of Maåt in November, but let's start with Laima this time, because I've started with Andrea so much this time. Laima, so what's next for you?
I am going to continue best I can making dances, and I follow inner guidance. If I'm going to work with a deity, she'll usually let me know. She'll come in and let me know it's her turn. Well, the unicorns come through, and she really wants me to reclaim my unicorn self. My name, Laima, actually means unicorn in Hawaiian. And so I just started working on a piece with music that is Persian, percussion, and Celtic harp. And it's very delicate. And so we'll see what comes out of that. A lot of my work is gifts for humanity, and my husband films them for me, and then we put them on my website, dancingpriestess.com. So you can go there and see the 13 moon dances in 2012, and in 2013 I made 2 snake goddesses. Kuan Yin is a snake goddess, and Lilith. I made Lilith in 2013. So this year I've made the Raven, and now it's the unicorn. I don't know. That's what's happening. So, and then I'm teaching some online courses. Shedding Your Old Skin is my online movement practice, and there are 5 sessions that go through the 5 elements: earth, air, water, fire, and ether. And one of them works with the serpentine inspiration. But they're primarily very simple movement practices, 20-30 minutes that you can do in the comfort of your own home at your own pace. Breath in movement, and some talking, but not a lot. It's mostly follow along with gorgeous music. And what else? Let's see. That's about it. I'm looking forward to also new things coming in with all of this death process, and I'm in the year of the Hermit. That's my tarot number 9.
Yes.
And so I've been saying that I'm on a sabbatical, but all of this new stuff is coming up from underneath. So I'm really looking forward to being in a larger community now. I've been kind of a monastic, as I think I said earlier, and a lot of my work's just been done in the temple. I was very lucky that way to be able to do so much work in a temple. But I want to work with different people now and different students. And there's the possibility that I'm going to start my own temple. I have my own temple. It's called the Temple of Isis Serpentarius, and I do have several priests and priestesses. So we'll see. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I work in the internet marketing world, and a lot of the work I do is internet marketing. And we have a phrase for the people who we're dealing with usually, and it's that they're chasing the rainbow unicorn.
Oh, really? How cool is that? Yesterday, after all the ceremony and services for Lady Lorien, a big rainbow appeared over the little temple at Isis Oasis at the end of the day. Very special. I love the rainbow unicorn. Maybe I'll put the rainbow in the unicorn dance.
Yeah. Well, hey, at least we'd have something for it. Hey, here's the rainbow unicorn. You can go over and find it. Andrea, so like I said, I know that you have some things coming up, but if you'd like to share with us, I believe you've got a retreat coming up this next month, don't you?
I have a few things. Yes, I have a retreat here at Ruby Throated Spirit, which is on an island on the coast of Maine. It's not out to sea. It's between two saltwater rivers, this island, but it's very, very beautiful. I have a labyrinth behind my house in the woods, and so I'm having a retreat that's called Maåt Sings. So it's really about sound and sound healing, and the being an instrument of the cosmic harmony, thinking of ourselves really as instruments. And that's August 9th and 10th, and there's space if somebody wanted to fly out here. There's an airport in Portland, Maine, and contact me if you're interested. And then I'm also planning to have a small private retreat of my astrology students from New York. I teach a class there when I go there, so that will be early September. And then our big retreat of the ministry, which will be the Woman of the Duat, where we really do enter that unknown other world, will be in November in upstate New York. And then I have a performance August 1st for Lamas, celebrating the first harvest with another singer, and it's all going to be improvised and channeled. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And I'm doing quite a bit of writing. I'm also very much a hermit in my life here. I live alone now. I don't even have any pets, so the birds and the deer and the squirrels and chipmunks are really my company. And I do see clients here when they come. And I have weekly meditations, and I have occasional classes, cosmic harmony, sound healing classes. But a lot of the time I'm here with nature, and as you can tell from the poetry, I just I feel everything I do is priestess work. So the observing and the responding to nature is priestess work. And then I have a new project that is an old project, a piece that I wrote 40 years ago.
Wow. When
I was 20, about the year I lived in Paris when I was 17. And part of what happened in that year was I was raped. And I needed to write in order to begin to heal from that. So that piece was never published. It just wasn't its time. And I think now it is its time. And I'm writing a new section, which is my self now, speaking to my young self and telling her about the goddesses. And as you were saying, that when the next goddess, it's her time for a dance, she lets you know. I'm just doing it in that way. So the first one was Persephone, who would, I said, Persephone walked you through the streets of Paris, and each one presents herself as needed, and that's I think I've written 12 different goddesses now, and I'm picturing that all of them doing a healing for my young self. So that's what I'm working on, what I'm writing at this point.
That sounds very juicy, very interesting.
I'm thinking too, it's not, it is of course for yourself, but I'm thinking of the world that we're in right now, and how much healing needs to happen from that very topic of rape for women in the world.
Yeah, I agree. And I wanted to just let you know that some of the people that have been putting in questions in and I've been asking, they said it really helped, the things that you said, both of you. And one of our women said that you know, it was really important for her to hear this, and she actually has a grief ritual that she had found that helped her with grieving, and so I'm going to put this link that she's given in here. It's a Celtic grief ritual that it's what is a grief ritual from Anila Sophia, who's an amazing tantric master. So I'll put that in the email that goes out with the video. So I've got your books in there as well. We're also going to have the course from Andrea on astrology, which I didn't get it ready today. So it's going to go out, though, in the next couple of days here. And Laima is also going to get me some information on one of her courses, and so I'll send those out together. And you know, as we go along, this is all going to be remarketed and redone. And I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank those that are listening. I want to thank you two for being here. I want to thank your snake for being such a good snake.
Tyson.
Yes, she
settled in on my heart.
Yeah, she's just sat there like, you know, it's like, okay, we're just going to have to get through this. But yeah,
I'll have to give her a nice big fat juicy rat sometime in the very near future.
Yeah.
As a gift.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what snake crunchies would be, but she apparently wants snake crunchies. So anyway, it's been a lovely evening, and this will be available on YouTube, and I will make it available also. I always put the latest video on the thank you page. So that page that you went through after stepping into ourselves, if for any reason you can't find it, just go through Stepping Into Ourselves again, and you'll always find the latest video there. So, and it's the full video. I embed it right there in the program so that you can watch it, or whoever is coming in, so they know what they're getting into, really. You know, I would hate for them to come into this and not realize what it is that we're talking about. But, you know, if you feel like you were brought into this world to do something big, to take care of others, if you feel like there's a connection between you and the deity that must be expressed, you're probably a priestess. So I want to thank you for being there for us as we transfer our knowledge to you. And I want to thank Andrea and Laima, and they've been fabulous. And I know that you two will make beautiful music and dance together. So. And everyone who's been on the phone, and to stay on, they've stayed on, even though some people had to drop off. Thank you very much, and I look forward to this coming Wednesday, which is actually our lovely Raven gets to star. Raven and Nikki will be on, Nikki Scully will be on Wednesday, and they will be discussing again what does it mean to be a priestess. And I think Nikki has some answers that are different from everybody else's. She always does have. So thank you very much. We only have 6 more shows. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with myself after August the 1st, but I set this up to be between the solstice. Yeah, between the solstice and Lammas was the container that I wanted to put this in. And so we will move forward with additional work and see where it goes from there. But what I want you to know is this is only the beginning. This is the way I'm starting this, not the way I'm ending this. So thank you very much for being here tonight, and I look forward to seeing all of you back on Wednesday to see my beautiful Raven and my dear friend and mentor, Nikki Scully. Believe me, it's worth staying up for. Good night.